It's 1960, at the very height of the Cold War between the USA and the USSR. Computers during this time were extremely large and heavy, primitive too, as in order to use any information on it, your only options were either traveling to the computer itself or getting a magnetic computer tape. But shortly after the launch of the Sputnik satellite by the Soviet Union and the looming threat of nuclear warfare, the US Defense Department knew they had no choice but to advance their ways of disseminating information, which led to a ARPANET, the predecessor of what would eventually become the internet. The internet has evolved a lot along the years, from its early inception in the early 1990s all the way now in 2025. We've gone a long way and so many things have changed, but mainly, the internet has become a treasure trove full of money ready to be earned, and many people have noticed that. Even more people have taken advantage of it. A new business model that was fully digitalized and didn't require spending a single cent. Social media, arguably the most important facet of the internet, is full of entertainment, passion projects, and knowledge and advice. But most of all, they're full of customers. Customers in the biggest mall ever created by humanity. And they don't even know it. Over many years, many people have set up shop in the supermarket known as the internet. Some did it without even realizing, gaining absurd fame and wealth simply due to passion, the added money being nothing more than a bonus. But others, especially nowadays, succeeded with one exact goal in mind: to make as much money as possible and get away with it. The outstanding success of this inspired many more to follow in the footsteps of these people. And now we're left with this. The internet has gone from a humble little mall for those who were outcasts from society into a booming city district where money is everywhere, both spent and made. I'm sure you've seen how many people have been selling courses as of late, making promises on how they'll make you richer, more charismatic, or whatever else they say. All of them use superficial information you could easily find in a single afternoon of research. But they know most people want convenience rather than efficiency, so they fall for it and buy the course. All based off the hope that this course will change their lives, that this will somehow have the magic formula to make their dreams come true. That is what courses truly sell: hope. They sell you the hope that they'll be able to give you the easy path to success, that they'll be able to remove all the difficulties and change your life without you even having to move a muscle for it. Launching a successful course isn't actually that simple. You can't just post one out of nowhere and expect anyone to actually buy it. You have to build up trust with your audience first. And what you'll often see is that the content creators behind these courses build up trust with their viewer base by actually making legitimately useful content. At least at the beginning they do. And what I'm trying to say isn't that all forms of courses are bad, because in reality, they're not even a new thing. As an example, art YouTubers have been selling digital art academies for the longest while. So it's not a black and white statement that courses are bad and that's it. However, these new types of courses focus solely on how to make money with dropshipping or whatever else are malicious in nature. Because let me tell you, all these entrepreneurs aren't making money off that. They're not making their main income dropshipping or copywriting. They're making all of their income selling that information to their viewer base. They're making that income off their branding. Their main source of income is their courses, not what they teach in them, which is precisely why the information in there is so lackluster and superficial. If you actually got all the info you needed to know, then you just leave and go ahead and make money on your own. And they can't have that, so they drip feed you behind a massive wall of information. And most of these courses cost a lot too, so you have the inherent need to get your money's worth and see all there is to see. Best example of this being The Real World, Andrew Tate's course. For a course that claims to be able to free you from slavery and the Matrix, it sure does look a lot like other social media, with 100 pop-ups coming up for each click you do, all to keep you hooked so you can keep consuming as much as possible and waste as much time as possible without doing any actual work. Not to mention that it's literally just a Discord clone, but for people with ADHD. Basically, you switch from one addiction to another, instead of with this one you also pay $50 for it. Now, not all courses are like this, but The Real World is easily the most popular one out of all of them. And since the most well-known and most successful course, many others will seek to replicate it to leech off its success. And with websites like school.com that are made to sell these types of products, it's easy to see how Tate basically popularized selling courses. which is really unfortunate because, again, they're not all bad. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with people selling information or life experiences. Books are also a form of selling information and experiences, but the execution of these courses just shows that most of these are about the creator making money, rather than the fan who actually buys it for the sake of becoming rich. Sure, maybe some of them can actually achieve something impressive or praiseworthy, but those are so rare that they're basically non-existent. But those who stay inside those courses stay brainwashed, believing that they're somehow escaping the rat race by placing themselves in a different one. Commentary channels have a notoriously bad reputation around the internet, and that's for a good reason too. They're known for making repetitive videos that just barely reach the 8 to 10 minute mark to be able to place ads on them. All of them make videos on trending topics that the 9-year-olds or unemployed are interested in, which is a shockingly big amount of people. It's really disheartening to see how many channels abandon all originality and uniqueness to join the slop fest, all using the same editing, background footage, jokes, titles, and even having the same tone. I swear they make these people infatuated with how many of them there are. They all make YouTube a worse place. Their content is no different than tabloid magazines that reported on the most dry news and somehow try making it deeper than it actually is. By using clickbaity titles, stretching the truth, or just straight up lying. But what makes me hate them personally so much is how much of their content is based on controversy, hatred, or mockery. The X situation is crazy meme came from somewhere after all, because that's how human nature works. It's much easier for us to focus on energy into hating, mocking, and tearing something down rather than building it up, praising it, or complimenting it. This is all over the world, not just YouTube or the internet. But like those tabloids, they were always made off controversy or drama. Even the news is like that. Rarely do you watch the daily news and see something actually positive. It always has to be something negative, something bad happening, someone dying, or some tragedy occurring. It really gives you the impression that the world is going downhill rapidly, when in reality, you're just seeing one side of it. The reason why magazines, commentary YouTubers, and news anchors all base their stories off bad things is because, as I said, we humans have a much easier time finding the bad in things. People will actively seek out negative news more than they will positive ones. So sadly, all these forms of media are just giving people what they want to see, even if it harms them. Not that it makes it any less disgusting though. But back to YouTube. It's clear that these quick, low-effort videos aren't going to leave for a while. Due to their inherent success, it only motivates more YouTubers to switch to that form of content, continuing to fuel the slot machine. And again, it's done so much because it works. And it has been working ever since 2016, back when Leafy used to be the king of YouTube and one of the most seen channels by far. Notice how almost 10 years have passed since then, and commentary channels have mostly remained the same with the exact same format to make the exact same content. The only thing that's really changed is the things they're allowed to say. Since you can't get away with saying the same things you used to be able to say back then in that era, and yet it feels like we haven't advanced whatsoever. The same lazy, uninspired content that has no meaning or substance. These YouTubers jump at the first chance they have to make a video about any type of controversy or drama, no matter how mundane it is. Most of them probably don't even care about the actual topic, whether it's serious or not. They just care about making their video first so they don't get overshadowed by the next slop channel. All these people rely mostly on the topics they speak about to have any sort of notoriety though. Most having no actual personality and nothing to really separate them from all the others, making it so that they pretty much become stuck to the commentary genre if they actually want to get any views. So I suspect that most commentary channels also feel trapped, since whenever they try to upload something out of the ordinary, it flops. So in that aspect, I see why they only keep making the same type of content. But in the same vein, they're the ones who chose to make this type of content to begin with. So it's not surprising that when you enter a genre like this, that it becomes difficult to escape. So they really only have themselves to blame. If there's anything that I hate more than slop content, it's AI. And to me, there's no justification for using AI to make your videos, ever. I firmly believe that AI should be a tool to enhance, not something to rely on, because that's when you start taking the humanity out of the word. Content that is reliant on AI only is not just soulless, but somehow even more uninspired than slop. It's completely unredeemable. And yet still, so many people take advantage of what AI can do to automate their content, which is just a fancy way of admitting that you don't want to do any real work and still benefit from it, which is actually pathetic. And the people making tutorials on this are no better. It's actually sick how many people are willing to just abandon all morals to chase the bag. Making brain-rotted content, lazy clip channels, fake Reddit stories, all that contributes to the growing time span problem that social media and these creators in particular are causing. It doesn't help that they try to frame this as a get-rich-quick scheme, encouraging other people to do the same as them, which keeps adding to the problem. AI content is a plague and a parasite to YouTube and social media in general. Content creators that rely solely on these tools to make their content should be ashamed. This isn't working smarter, it's not working at all. Spitting in the face of the people who actually spend their time to making good quality content that's actually helpful and meaningful. Not this shallow mockery. I will never recognize anyone who uses AI in their videos as an actual content creator. The same way an artist will never recognize someone who uses AI art as a fellow artist. Now, nothing is black and white. Using AI doesn't automatically make you a fraud. As I said, AI should be a tool, not a crutch. I don't see any issue with using AI to enhance your content, the editing process, or the overall quality of the video. But relying on it instead of taking the time to actually learn how to edit, make scripts, or just good content in general is just pathetic. Slop channels put more effort in their videos than these AI channels. That's how you know it's bad. If Moist Critical puts more effort into his videos than you, it might just be time to wrap it up. Because all of these faceless AI automation channels represent everything I think is wrong with the use of AI. The purpose of these channels isn't to reach people, entertain, tell a message, or do anything like that. It's all for one reason: money. They don't see YouTube as anything more than a tool to make money, which is quite sad, as I believe that digital content like this can truly be a form of art in of itself. I feel like a bit of a hypocrite for speaking on this, but I truthfully think that this isn't important enough to speak on. Due to the rampant hustle culture online that has exploded recently in popularity, it feels like so many kids nowadays want to live fast and hop on the self-improvement trend. Teenagers are so concerned about their appearance, their wealth, status, their love life, and even their sex life. It's crazy. The internet has made them so hyper aware of all of these things, and somehow made them believe that they have little to no time to actually make their dreams come true. Well, their dreams being what social media has convinced them they need to have in life. Why do you think that most of the people that buy courses are teenagers or young adults? Because they're easy to influence, easy to manipulate, and mold into the perfect returning customer that keeps buying course after course, merch after merch, supplement after supplement. It's a smart idea if you ignore all ethics. Since these types of communities, like looks maxing, while promising to get rid of all of your imperfections and insecurities, often do the opposite, making it so that these kids become obsessed with self-improvement, which just means trying to be a perfectionist and ending up worse than you started when it doesn't go your way. Because let me tell you something, teenagers aren't really suited for self-improvement. You might think that it's a perfect time to do it because you're still developing, and you'd be right. But that's also part of the problem. You're still not out of the oven, which means that so many of these kids literally don't have the mental capacity to be super disciplined and mature like these people claim they can be. So what happens then? These kids claim to be cooked when they're not even out of the oven, all because they couldn't become millionaires at the age of 13, which really goes to show the kind of values that these so-called role models are giving. Status, money, beauty. I'm not saying that they aren't important at all, but they definitely aren't as important when you have math homework to study for. It's never too late or too early to be the best version of yourself. Yes, but having an unrealistic expectation of what you can achieve, especially when you're so young, is only gonna end up in disappointment or burnout. So all you really end up doing is wasting your childhood chastising yourself for not being perfect, when this stage of life should be all about experimenting and finding out things about yourself. It really is sad to see how many YouTubers and content creators in general have sold out just for the bag, while most of them were already set up for life to begin with. I'm not even talking about courses now. I mean, how many YouTubers resort to selling shitty products that, again, all the kids will just gobble up and buy. The first example that comes to mind is obviously Logan, KSI, and MrBeast for Prime and Lunchables? Whatever, I don't care. I just see all of this advertising, all of this attention seeking, and I think to myself, why? What possible use could you have selling all of your dignity and self-respect for money you already didn't need? With Jimmy, at least it's a little bit self-explanatory since he uses all of his money in his videos to give back to the... Oh. KSI and Logan in particular baffle me. Those two, alongside Logan's younger brother, Jake Paul, to me, are perfect examples of relentless, meaningless greed. Because what meaning does another 20, 50, or 100 million do if you have to sell everything else about yourself to get it? If all of your fans are prepubescent kids at best, I think that greed is an addiction. Because you have to be addicted to the bag if you can't even celebrate the birth of your own daughter in private without making it a fucking advertisement. And I don't mean it in a good way at all. I don't mean addicted to the bag in the sense that Logan is so determined and hardworking that he does everything he can and works as much as possible he can to get that bread. I mean it in the sense that money is the only thing that fulfills these kinds of people. Due to how simple and validating it is. It fills the hollow, empty void in your soul temporarily. It's all instant gratification. That dopamine hit as soon as they check their bank accounts makes them forget how empty and joyless their lives are just for a little bit. This greed addiction is something that's come up in way more than just YouTube. Other aspects of entertainment such as music and movies. It's everywhere in modern media actually. All these people have two goals. One, to make as much money as possible, and two, to waste as much of your time as possible. So much media, from games to videos to movies, are out to waste as much of your time as possible. From grinding, meaningless games to 17-hour-long essays on a random person you've never heard of before, to a 20-season slop reality TV show where nothing happens. And in a way, that's worse than just taking your money, because time is all we really have, and that's already limited. Anything physical you can get back even if you lose it, whether it's a car, jewelry, or money. But time isn't something you can grab a hold of and put in your pocket. That's why the real danger of all of these things, courses, sellouts, slot machines, is the fact that they waste your time. Time you could have been using for more useful things. It all makes you really wonder if this is all on purpose or not. Naturally, this tactic of time wasting wouldn't be nearly as popular or used if it wasn't extremely lucrative and people didn't consistently fall for it. But that's why it's so important to think before you act. It's all as simple as asking yourself one simple thing before doing anything time-consuming. Why? Why are you doing this? What are you getting from it? What will happen once you're done? When will you be done? It's fine to have fun for the sake of it sometimes, but the key word is sometimes. And with how media is nowadays, it's definitely not made to encourage moderation, but addiction. TV, social media, and video games all encourage dopamine addiction and even leverage it so they can squeeze more time out of you. Nowadays, all video games have some sort of grind mechanic, and every social media has some sort of scrolling. Even the hub, for some reason. It's all made on the basis to make you addicted to wasting time while still making you feel good. It's even more apparent on video games. It's all prime escapism from your own life to forget about it and to waste your time. It's all a predatory tactic that takes advantage of how many people nowadays are lonely and miserable, giving them an option to escape their lives, if only briefly, whilst twisting and changing your view on reality and how the world actually works. But the latter is a topic for another video. No matter how mundane it is, most of them probably don't even care about the most of them probably don't even care about it. Most of them probably don't even care about